I've been sent the Razer Huntsman Mini recently. 60% keyboards are becoming more and more popular, but this one actually gave me a bit of a shock. Good afternoon, welcome back to Turbo Tortoise Tech. I am once again the Wookiee Triple XL, and in this review I'm having a look at the Razer Huntsman Mini, which is conveniently, sneakily hidden behind its box. So yeah, the box is small, the keyboard is even smaller. It's the smallest mechanical keyboard I've ever gotten my hands on, and incredibly well made. First thing that I noticed was, well, I mean, look at that. It's tiny, absolutely tiny. They've taken 10 keyless and just sort of ramped it up to 10 by even removing then the extra set of buttons on the side. So where are all those buttons, you might ask? Actually, they are on this keyboard. They're just now function settings. So when you press function, it will highlight the ones that are active, and then you can then just access them from there. So if you're into really small, clean, tiny, neat looking spaces, maybe this is a good keyboard for you. Double shot keycaps, aluminium backplate. Once, like I said, that really good build quality. Nice removable USB Type-C type connector, which is really good as well that it is Type-C, because these are going to be dime a dozen in the future. This basically is the new micro standard for USB. So this is going to be the opposite of whatever hen's teeth would be. This is the potato of cables, effectively, and you'll find it absolutely everywhere, which is quite nice. And then on the back there's a by gamers for gamers emblem sort of etched into the keyboard, which I quite like. Really nice rubberized feet as well. Double layered kickstand, so you can have it on either or, which is quite nice. And then we get to something that I was quite surprised by. I actually really like these keys. The keycaps themselves are double shot, so all of that felt normal to what I'm used to. But often when I go off Cherry MX, it is quite noticeable, to be honest. And in this instance, it really wasn't. These are clicky keys, which aren't my favorite as far as audio feedback and that sort of stuff go. But the linearity and the way that they felt, I actually think these are better. Cherry MX has been the benchmark for a really long time. And when I was playing like StarCraft and CS, and COD, where especially COD, you tend to mash your control in space as you sort of sprint, like sprint slide jump a lot. And this was actually better. My movement improved. Now, it wasn't all smooth happy sailing when I plugged it in. I did find it a little bit weird. My brain was not comfortable with the layout initially, and I often went hunting for the arrow keys on the side. But in a lot of cases, when I test equipment, I use it for a couple of hours, except, okay, cool, that's the level of the level of performance of the product at least, and then put it back in its box or set it to the side and take back or reuse what I'm comfortable with, obviously. But I used this for 2 full days, and the only time I felt the need to swap it out was when I needed those keys because of settings on my editing software. I needed that section, and then there were some games that I actually used page up and insert and stuff for different items in my menu. So until that point, playing anything that used the normal WASD was absolutely fantastic. And what also would be absolutely fantastic is going to a LAN with this. Literally, you could pop it in your pocket and you could just whip out your keyboard. The removable cable makes it so that you won't bend the rubber garret on the back of it. And then they do give you 2 little covers for either side of your cable, which is very long and very braided. So yeah, if you want to use this as home defense, this connection is so strong it can literally hold up the keyboard with it being removable, as I said earlier. Another thing that's quite staggering with Razer products is how comprehensive their lighting software is and their macro software. There's so many settings. I literally got lost in there at one point, but setting up lighting profiles, you can have like multiple layers of different lighting profiles. You can then have different profiles for different games. It's got the full Razer Synapse experience along with this. And I have to say, like I said, the keys for me, when a keyboard is already built this well, if you're wanting something that's really small and you don't need those extra keys, the numpad, etc., and you are landing and stuff a lot or moving around as a competitor quite often, then it all comes down to the key itself. And like I said, these are the purple clicky variant. There is a slightly heavier, 3 whole grams heavier red type of switch, which I think if it's anything like this is going to be really, really good. The clacky feedback from this is also, it's pretty unintrusive is the way I would explain it. A lot of the time when I use clicky keys, I feel like when they bump down, they tend to do that, whereas this is super linear. Really well made, really well put together. LED brightness is pretty good as well. It's not the brightest I've ever seen, but in a dark room, it's going to more than be able to do its job. One other nice feature is there are some lighting profiles for you on the keyboard. So for instance, if I press function, control and 3 for instance, then it'll have a little reset time, and then you see it changes on the keyboard, and then you can save profiles to those numbers as well, and then each one will have different settings for different games. It's got a full onboard memory system, so you don't have to install Razer Synapse anymore to be able to have your profiles. So when you go to tournaments, setup just becomes that much easier. Now at 3,000 South African rands, there are certainly cheaper keyboards with, well, more keys. Why are we paying more money for something that has less keys on it? I think you're paying for 2 things here. One of those being this really good new mechanical switch that Razer has developed themselves. I haven't seen much that often rivals Cherry MX, or actually makes me feel like it's better, but this is, it's really good. It feels super nice. And then the other thing I think you're paying for is that Synapse technology, or the Razer lighting package, customization package. It's not going to be cheap, and I mean, with a 2-year warranty, your guaranteed cost of ownership is about 1,500 Rand per year. But if you looked after this, I know of examples like one of my friends bought an old Razer keyboard off another friend, and his has been going for about 7 years. So if these things work out of the box for 3 months, you could probably assume they'll work for at least 5 years. And in that case, you've got one of the best keyboards you can buy at the moment. Anyway, I do hope you guys have enjoyed this review. If you have, do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side. Un momento, por favor.